All right. And we begin. Anyway, so what happened in book one? Let's see. So if I forget a few details, if you guys want to throw them in, that's fine. Try to get the summary done in about 5 minutes if I can. That's a lot to summarize, though. All right, so began with some kidnappings. The Shire was attacked by goblins, or orcs and goblins, and some hobbits were taken, and one was killed. And at the same time, the son of Dane, Thorin Stonehelm, was also kidnapped along with Oric Thornbeard, who was from the Ered Luin, along with their entourage, which sparked Dane to send Bane to investigate. And Harabrand of Dale joined him. So they came west. Wanderer was, of course, involved because being rangers and guarding Bree and the Shire, well, actually, most of Eriador was aware of it. And some of these details are getting lost to me right now. Made your way to Rivendell, and Elrond became your patron. Organized the Fellowship to investigate this, and you initially found at the last bridge evidence of an ambush onto a merchant caravan. Followed the trail, found some dwarves that were captured by bandits, and they also had a troll in a troll hole. From that, you learned that further down the Horwell, or up the Horwell, sorry, not down, of orcs and possibly trolls was some sort of ruined keep, and you went and investigated, completely obliterated all of the orcs. And did you kill all the trolls? I cannot remember if you left them. You must have. I don't remember that. That was quite far back, but and you came to learn from that of an extremely large member of the Shadow, even rumored to be that of the legendary ogres, by the name of Mormog, who was straight out of Mordor, who was leading that front. And that the whole operation was building tunnels underneath the Horwell so that there's an easy passage of trolls into the Eriador. And their whole goal, and you went and spied on Morbog's meeting with at least 50 trolls. Fortunately, your hiding ability prevailed, and you were able to learn some of the plans, and that the idea is to build a number of camps across Eriador to make a raid across the lands more easy, considering how trolls turn to stone, or at least some types of trolls turn to stone if exposed to sunlight. But you managed to thwart his plans and collapse that tunnel that they were building. And you made your way back to Rivendell to report that, and then you headed back out. And I can't remember why, but to investigate. Also, you came across one of the Maiar, who was under a spell of Mormog, Erowina, and gave you the task of finding a way to free her. Anyway, you ventured back into western part of Eriador, and actually you went back to Rivendell before you went up to Mormog's meeting. That's what it was. I forgot now. And then from there you went southwest, came across a couple of villages of people who were being raided by orcs, and you managed to convince them to combine together. And you came across an orc camp, and in that orc camp you found a map of suspected sites of these troll camps that you heard mention of. And you ended up journeying west, eventually getting to, following clues, led you to Fornost. Where you found a bandit stronghold, which in turn led you to an orc encampment, an orc war camp, and they were preparing, making arms and armor, preparing for assault, and you managed to thwart that. And then you went into Fornost, and you went into the heart of it. You cleverly played a trick to make most of the orcs leave, and you went down into the belly of it and found the ringleader, a very large orc named Vrock, who was possessed by a specter. Wanderer nearly lost her life. Angamondiel was very close. Herabrand and Bane were only, I think, a serious scimitar hit away from being on death's door.
I think I got knocked down and got up again.
Yeah. You both got knocked down with spells, but I think there was endurance that was quite low.
Yeah.
A couple of well-placed blows would have put you down like what Wanderer was facing.
Yeah, Hairbrand was put to sleep by spells.
Yeah.
And then hit, and then I was after the spirit left, I was down to I think like two endurance because of all the sources.
Yes. And so, but you managed to slay your foe and gained the evil crown that he was wearing. Something that Elrond and Gandalf both told you that you needed to be able to break the spell that held Arowena. And you left there to find that the whole horde of orcs that you had lured out were drawn back to you. Basically, the eye was upon you. And a large battle was about to take place, and you were also very weary from your battle down below. Wanderer was just barely walking again, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Severe wound. So still very wounded. And that's where you got your scar across your face. And it was at that moment that Gandalf arrived with a company of dwarves from the Ered Luin to come and save the day, to help you tip the balance in your favor. You rested afterwards, and on your way back to Rivendell, you decided to stop by, pay a little visit to one of the troll camps, the one that was closest to you. You were besides all the dwarven companions that you had, 7 of them? Yeah, 7 dwarves. And 3 or 4 rangers. All of you, Gandalf, and 50 dwarves from the Ered Luin. You decimated that camp. We didn't even roll for combat. It was just done. Which left a mark. And you made your way back to Rivendell. Partway through there, half the dwarves from the Ered Luin returned, and the other half agreed to ultimately escort Thorin back to Erebor. But you did all make a pit stop in Rivendell. And the notes that I made. So the ritual happened. You freed Arowena.
Yes.
Aragorn concocted a spell, a ritual up under the moonlight.
Elrond.
Yeah. And you met with Arowena on the edge of the hidden valley. And the ritual happened, and she was freed from her bindings. And she was going to head west because she had been bound for eons. But she left you with one final blessing, which occurs if you are outdoors. And I can't remember if it was only at night. I got it written.
Once per night, players may re-roll a deep die to represent the lucky star that always seems to light their way.
That's what it is.
Okay, any feat die.
Yeah. And then she left. And there was a council with Elrond to discuss what has all happened. There was much to tell. What you learned from Gandalf is that there was a scouting mission of the Eagles, and that the northern camps cannot be defeated with a single company of free folk like you've had. That more would be needed. And you guys felt that allies was something that you needed to find. Elrond had said what he would contribute is a host of elves led by Glorfindel, a base of operations, and supplies. But there was many questions left. When will the enemy be done with its camp construction? When will they strike into the heart of Eriador? And part of your strength is at the moment the enemy still thinks the camps are unknown. But they felt the moment an army of free folk marches north, they will strike early. So there's that dilemma. And they felt that for now, the borders of the free folk must be secured to prevent more raids and hostages. The Shire was already keeping a close watch on its borders, fearing a return of the time of goblin invasion. Aided greatly and unknown to most of the Hobbit kind by Tarandel and his company of rangers, who have stepped up their patrols. Dane and Herobrand then, Fulvis and Wanderer went back west. Wanderer escorting Fulvis as far as Bree, and then they parted ways there, and Fulvis went on back to the Shire. Headed east were Bane and Herobrand, along with Thorin and four of the dwarves. Just three of them are from the Arid Luin. Actually, those three went with Wanderer and Fulvis, didn't they? And then they went on back to the Arid Luin after that.
Yeah.
But 25 of the dwarves from the Arid Luin went on to Erebor to make sure that Thorin got back safely.
Yes, the others went with Oric to go try and with his father.
Yes.
Smooth things. I think Gandalf also went to smooth things over again, didn't he? Somewhere.
Yes. Yes, he did. Gandalf was going to try to inspire, but we'll come back to that. And Thorin returned home, escorted home, and a very drunk Dane, after 2 days of drinking, was very generous in his gifts to Bane, giving him a coat of mithril mail and a legendary axe.
Always like my new axe.
Oh, yes. And the name of the axe is Dwarvish for your grave. I love it.
Dora Gnoll.
Yes. On your way back, you and Herobrand, on your way back towards home anyway, we did a summary of this instead of spending the time for each of it, but you did hear tales of the troubles in Mirkwood have not subsided. And you did not pass through Mirkwood. I believe you went along the northern pass along the Grey Mountains. And you had, let's see.
Yes, we did, because we heard that the forest road had gotten even more dangerous.
Yes.
By death.
And the spiders had grown more bold. And you'd even heard, and you heard this earlier in the campaign too, that Towler, spawn of Ungoliant, sibling to Shelob, although Shelob wouldn't be known to you, but just as a player knowledge, had been seen. So that you don't know much more than that about that. Thranduil is being his normal self and not asking for aid. And then I think we had it that Herobrand stayed there with the dwarves briefly and then headed back to Dale. And that, if I haven't missed anything, is the summary of 18 episodes of the first major part of this campaign. Anything I missed, guys? I think that's most of it.
Yeah.
It's quite the summary.
Save that.
I think that was.
We saved that village. You know, they're all doing well. Hopefully.
Yeah, okay. So, before I begin to get into any sort of introduction to this next book here, kind of needed for both Bane and Herobrand to kind of get an indication of what you were planning to do, because part of it we've talked about on the chat is going to see about gathering some allies east of the mountains.
That was the plan.
And what was said when when Dane gave you the axe was he wanted revenge, which is partly why he gave it. And in fact, he returned his son.
Oh,
So-
he'll get his.
So you have at least some support from Dane, but outside of that, I wasn't completely sure of all of your plans. And so,
I believe Herobrand was going to go talk to his king, and then we were going to maybe try to convince Thranduil or solve some of his problem, so then he could lend aid, if I recall.
that's roughly what I thought, but I just wanted to be sure. Time has
I'm sure
passed.
the other peoples of this land are also suffering, whether it be woodmen or Bjornings.
Right.
I hear you talking, Father, but you're not talking again.
Audio cutting out again.
I just hear him talk from the other room, but nothing's coming through the mic, so I know he's talking.
Maybe he's talking to himself. Maybe he's finally lost it.
Yeah,
There
that
we
could be
go.
true.
No, I hear you.
The trappings of power have gone to my head.
All him and his birds.
Yeah. Yeah. Looked in the Palantir. It's hopeless. Um. So, yeah, that's my recollection is going to go to Dale, talk to the king, and and then see who else we can recruit, even if it's some woodmen or whatever, or some Northmen that still maybe live in the Vales of the Anduin or whatever. If there's some folk that we can recruit.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think before jump into all that. So, at the moment, at the beginning of this, every single one of you are spread out. Obviously, you know this. The only difference to that is that Angamandil and Diron are in Rivendell. Although Diron wasn't a part, obviously, of the first book, but excuse me. So you're all spread out. So as far as game goes, I'm wanting to get you guys together fairly quickly. So because otherwise there's a lot of downtime when you're not a part of an action. But there's obviously invariably going to be some of that for this session, but how much I'm not sure. But I want to play it out. But some of this I might want to do as a bit of a narrative, like some of the journeys. I think, rather than going through the detailed journey rules, just kind of to summarize just a little bit with it. Maybe not roll so much dice as far as events. Maybe just roll once or twice for a much longer journey, just in the interest of story.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, get the band back together. That's it. That's exactly it. So, but I did want to start with Harabrand and Dale, because at the end of the last book, we did no summary there. And I had it in my notes that I listened to the recording, is that we were going to detail that at the start of this one. And so since I kind of shortchanged Harabrand's finale there, I thought we'd start with that briefly and then go from there. So I've added some new soundtrack music. I've got music of Dale.
See, band back together, new music. We're doing great so far.
Yeah. All right. Now, I have put although we're going back in time here a little bit on this one, but I've put the time for the start of this book for the 6th day of Nenima, which is in Earth terms, that's February.
Okay.
Now, technically, Yule ended 6 weeks ago. Or 5 weeks ago, sorry. But Arctic cold. Not that it's summer weather at 6th of Feb, but a little bit further on. So I'm imagining, and you correct me if the narrative fits differently for you, Harabrand, but I'm imagining that you perhaps stayed on in Erebor for a day or two before you headed back down to Dale, even though it's right next to you.
Yeah, sure. Sounds reasonable.
easily a day of drinking.
Yes. And party. You can't miss it.
Yes. And what you notice as you ride into Dale is you see an increased number of patrols. You've ran into several, and you know them because you're part of the king's army. But and you've learned from a few of them that the patrols have been stepped up just to not knowing what's going on in Mirkwood and wanting to make sure that the evil does not spread into Dale or into the land surrounding it. That's why the patrols have been stepped up, just as a precaution.
Mm-hmm.
You also know that so far no foul has befallen Dale. The patrols have increased, but they haven't really seen any action like that. But they've been venturing further out than they normally do, further closer to the border of the wood. And you ride into town, and it's exactly as you remembered it. Nothing much has changed. The mood of the people has been kept secured because they're not aware of what's going on so much. Maybe a small bit of rumor, but the spirit of everyone is still high. Word had already preceded you arriving that Thorn had returned, and that you had something to do with it. And so there's a bit of fanfare as you ride into town and people recognize you. You hear a lot of murmurings. It's Herobrand. And then you start hearing stuff, just exaggerations of what happened. Just, I heard he rescued Thorn single-handedly. Knocked down 20 orcs, I heard. And whether you correct them or not, I'll leave that up to you. But the reputation is really high.
Yeah, it wasn't that much.
And as one who is a confidant of the king, you can approach him at any point, as you're well aware. But the details of whether you go home first or you go straight to the king, I'll leave that up to you. But eventually, I assume you make your way to the king.
Yeah, I probably would go directly because I sort of was sent on a mission. So to end the mission, kind of would be, I think, appropriate to go to him first, and then I'm on my own. Then I have my leisure time, kind of thing.
Yeah. And
so I make my way to the citadel, or
okay,
and seek an audience with the king when at his convenience.
And you know that kings can be quite busy, but you're surprised and maybe not surprised at the same time that with haste you are, or maybe that's not the word, but you hardly wait at all before the steward comes to tell you that the king will see you now. And also, you're not being taken to a throne room, but you're being taken to the king. You met with the king here before. This is like one of, not his private living chambers, but and kind of like a ready room or a study, if you want to call it that. But it is a private place. It's only the closest to him. His war council would meet here, sort of thing. And it has a balcony that overlooks Dale. It's up high. And as soon as the door opens and the steward announces you, the king turns. And when he immediately turns, you can see that he was deep in thought, as Bard usually is. Always a deep thinker. But when he sees you, his face just brightens up. And he crosses over to you. You are most welcome, Herobrand. Welcome back son of Dale.
And I do a bow, and a little bit of a kneel thing. My lord, I'm happy to be home.
And unscathed, news of your success has preceded you, as I'm sure you can expect. But
Oh, rumors grow in the telling, I see.
I have heard. Just so you know, I haven't bothered to to correct them. I think some high opinions of you are owed. But come, sit. Although I have heard reports, please tell me. Tell me of your exploits. And you could
so I-
summarize this if rather than tell
so
everything.
I basically summarize what happened to us. Our various adventures. With the trolls, and then with the orcs, and then a couple of villages, which eventually led us um, to Fornost, and the battle with the specter possessed orc, and we almost lost it there, and then the final battle, and then our return.
And throughout your telling, and my summary that I just did
Mhm.
was brief compared to, I'm sure, what you've said to him, but throughout the entire time, it's partly his usual manner, but he's very stern-faced and just listening intently. And only a few times does he ask if you, a question here or there just for more clarity. And occasionally it's just expressions of exclaim, like, of a great deed that you or one of the fellowship may have done, and just pride on his face. But at the end of it, he's quiet. His face is creased up in thought. And he says, in your quest you set out upon, you are victorious. And there's no discounting that. But what you have said to me is a story even more grave than what you originally set out upon. And it fills me with grief. We are, as I'm sure you noticed as you came in, we have stepped up patrols for fear of what is growing out of Mirkwood. Although we have managed to re-establish some of the trade routes south, it is not quite what it once was. But to hear that there is troubles further west fills me with dread. What are we to do? Herobrand, what would you have me do?
Well, my lord, all the shadow is growing, and all free peoples must resist. And we must gather together and work with our friends. Because together we're much stronger than each individual nation, city, group. I would have you take counsel with Dane, and if we can persuade King Thranduil to assist, that would be all the better. And if we can incorporate and get assistance from woodmen of the forest. Again, all free peoples must gather together and resist the rise of the shadow, for it is growing strong.
And is it west of the mountains they must go? This threat you've said of these troll camps. You'll need a small army.
Yes. We'll need, and yet we can't totally strip Dale and the mountain and the forest because there are many prongs, many avenues for the enemy. But yes, west of the mountains seems to be the priority at this moment.
I must confess, I am concerned about Mirkwood and the threat to Dale. Thranduil asked for no aid, but I know you have dealt with the Woodland Realm before. You know. Thranduil has a lot of pride, and he may be overconfident. He may call for aid. And if he doesn't, and the evil seeps out of Mirkwood, we must be able to defend ourselves.
I nod.
But we cannot leave the people of Eriador to suffer that fate. I feel that Bane, out of revenge, will contribute some of his number. And I will not,
right.
out of revenge, if nothing else. It was his son. I will.
Dwarves have a long memory.
They do indeed. I will make a commitment. Possibly maybe increasing that commitment if needed, but I want to be cautious in my commitment at this point. As you have agreed with me, I cannot leave Dale defenseless.
Yes.
I will contribute. I will grant a company of 30 bowmen. At this point. The time you say Elrond of Rivendell is offered. Rivendell is a base of operations, so that gives us a destination.
Yes, my lord.
After a time of rest over this period of Yule, I would call upon you once more to head west. It will take me some time to gather the men. I will send them after you as soon as I can arrange it, but I would ask that you go on ahead, perhaps with Bane, depending on what Dane wants, to tell the people of Eriador what is coming.
As you wish, my lord. I'm happy to follow your commands. As always.
But for now, Herobrand, you have earned yourself a rest. And I want you to rest, however eager you might be.
I laugh a little bit. Yes, my sword can rest a bit from drinking orc blood. be happy. I'll be happy to wander about in Dale and smell of fresh, cool air of Romanian for a while. Not too long, though.
Well, enjoy the Yule celebrations.
Thank you, my lord, and you too. And I assume this is toward the goodbye. So I
Yes.
bow and start backing my way out. And then I turn and walk out.
And the last glimpse you see of the king as he turns away from you, but you glance at that face. And you see the furrows of worry on his face, just deep in thought.
And I think to myself, it's not easy being the king.
No. In Erebor. Bane, you have spent the time digging deep. Yes. Patrolling the lower tunnels.
Yeah, can't get enough of those potential interlopers at works. Gotta drive them out of everywhere.
And
I'm playing sharp.
there is yes. Sorry, I just saw what you put on the chat. Hairbrand has a fast pass. Good. After this was after the hangover, that you did all of this. The hangover lasted for days. And coming out of that, Dane, because he dubbed you a champion of Erebor. He gave you a title, which has helped with some of the jealousy that might have arisen from being given such grand gifts. But and so you also have a fast pass. And,
well, plus I'm sure Thor and Dane themselves would batter anyone talking.
Yeah, there's that. And I mean, your title was well earned. You have, although not single-handedly, but again, rumors abound that it was single-handedly. That, I mean, surely a non-dwarf was not involved in any significant way. It was all led by you. But
Bane lets the rumors run a little bit, but he's more focused on the orcs and the amount of orcs he killed, and like that one kill he made where he jumped on the warg, basically
yes.
breaking it. Yeah, driving the commander of Rock off his perch.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
And
there's a lot of jumps actually you made. Quite a few of them.
Fighting a troll and wielding a tree.
Yes.
I think his jumps were more successful than mine, too. I seem to fall a lot.
Yeah.
Nobody tosses. Bane always jumps.
Yes. Right. And so...
But in my pastime, I probably would... So in the telling of these stories, I would try to, maybe garner some interest in helping us deal with this threat. Because even if, obviously, I'm going to try to talk to Dane and get him to help, it's also just good to have people that volunteer rather than are assigned said tasks.
Yes.
The more we can get.
So, again, instead of you telling the story fully, I assume you've told him the full story of everything that befell you.
Yes.
And he is speaking to you up on some of the walks that look out over some of the more common, or not the common, but like some of the grand vaults. You're walking up above, just looking down upon it. It's closer to, something that's more private to the king, but it is out in the open. Dane, as you know, loves to look upon the kingdom, because it hasn't been that long that it has been reclaimed, for the dwarves. And, hold on. I'll switch the music, because that's the Happy to Be in Erebor music. And what he's saying to you is, what you have done in saving my son. You've exposed greater evil. And even though the trouble is in far west of the mountains, far from here, far from the safety of our home, you know as well as I do that it could very easily spread across the northern mountains. And those mountains aren't free of orc and troll kind, as it is.
No. They issue out of Gundabad and Gram.
Exactly.
Homes of old.
But the shadow is spreading on this side of the mountain as well, and I do not want to leave us undefended. Because I'm sure you wouldn't want that either.
No, my king. But they've already proven they won't stay on that side of the mountain for long. Attacking us in broad daylight and taking your son. And if the west fall, then we're on two sides. Fighting from both.
Very wise observation. You make a great
Plus our
general.
kingdom. Bane kind of laughs at that. Well, I'd more be on the front at this point, my king, but
I wouldn't rob you of that.
And but Bane goes, but we do need to make plans. They will only grow stronger, and those camps cannot be taken by, well, Bane thinks for a second. No, unfortunately they can't be taken by just me. But with a cadre of dwarves from here, are in the lands of your home, the Iron Hills, and you've seen some of our faraway cousins in the Blue Mountains arrive here and go back. They would also hopefully join and be swayed by your word.
When they departed, I did plant a seed of such in their mind.
For Auric was taken too, so they are affected whether they want to or not.
Yes. I wonder what allies, the denizens of Eriador, what will they do to protect themselves? They do not have the organized forces. You say Elrond will contribute a host of elves.
Yes, he's contributed elves. There are if you recall, some ranges, though, far in between and protecting the borders, so that you'll keep them safe in the meantime.
Right.
But they do need stronger forces that only Rovanian can provide. And even if Herbrand can get his king to provide some, there's still, as you know, the fickle king of the wood.
Yes.
So if we can help him, perhaps he can provide assistance. And despite their distance, the elves are kin, so perhaps if Elrond and his men joined in, perhaps he shall be more willing, though the price may be solving some problems of his own realm.
King Bard is a very discerning king, and not with haste does he make a decision. He doesn't have the motivation that I do. It wasn't his son that was taken, but he is an ally. And he too would not want the shadow to spread east.
No. And even if I might suggest something, my king, even if have you heard about the troubles with their southern border and their trade routes, which I'm sure affect ours?
Yes, to some extent that has been restored. It's not quite what it once was, but...
Well, even if we could send maybe a few more patrols with our caravans, or theirs, perhaps it'll strengthen that further, and they will not feel as pressured.
I have done that a bit, but maybe you're right. I should increase it even further.
Yes, I mean, who would assault? I mean, other than some orcs who aren't known for their brightness, would assault caravans such as that?
Well, they'd be the last one they ever assaulted if they did. I will commit a company of 100 dwarves to journey west.
And would you be adverse, my lord, to any other volunteers that choose to go, my king?
Not at all. Not at all.
I nod.
Now, Thranduil. We've had emissaries back and forth. And you're right, his thoughts are very occupied on his own problems. I have my doubts he's in any position to help, and I'm not sure that we could do anything to change that. The trouble he is dealing with seems to be growing.
Yes, we've heard of a
But it
great
is...
spider.
But there's no harm in trying. You may have some luck with the Bjornings. Beorn likes a good fight.
And a good dead orc.
Yeah.
But, yes. I mean, the forest is between there and him, so there's no harm in trying.
No.
We can solve his spider problem. Plus, one need not necessarily treat with the king himself to start out. We did have a companion before he had to return to his realm, as Thranduil's... I'm being a little mean here. As Thranduil's leash is short. But perhaps I can meet up with Beliganor again. Get an assessment.
Yes.
And while the Bjornings will be helpful, perhaps we should send word to other woodmen settlements. I'm sure they are also affected by these threats.
I have a bit of knowledge that Should your efforts take you to Mount Graham, there is a legend. You know, once a dwarf stronghold, there is a legend that there is a secret entrance to the lower levels, known only to dwarven kind, and most very likely undiscovered by those foul and filthy orcs.
Well, our craft is too smart for them. So, obvious. Do you know of this secret entrance, my king?
It is only a legend.
So was the entrance there?
Yes, but Mount Graham has been held by the orcs for a lot longer than Smaug was here. When it precedes me, it is a legend to be pursued. It may, in fact, give you an advantage should your battle take you that far.
What do you know of this legend, my king, that I may follow its breadcrumbs?
You may... Hold on, I'm trying to get the name. Hold on one second. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the name quick enough. There is a scholar here. Where's it at? The name I don't have. It's in the Chamber of Marzabul here in Erebor.
Ah. I shall go and consult it, my king. And if we are to send anyone by the northern road near the Grey Mountains, I would send extra escorts. And perhaps a few scouts for Mount Gundabad. Keep an eye on things.
Who knows what the enemy is planning?
Who knows indeed. And even if it need not be dwarf, but some of our, and I'm sure there's some around, raven friends. They might be better suited.
I take on your counsel, Bane, and I welcome it. Head west as soon as you can after you've rested from Yule.
Aye, my king.
But I would speak with your friend in Dale, Herebrand. Perhaps Bard would send him west with you.
Aye, I can summon him.
Right.
There. Anything else you require of me, my king?
Only to prepare yourself, to steel yourself for what is sure to be even more of a difficult quest than what you've just had.
I can do that. But, as you said, my king, it is, and he kind of flares, stamps his axe, a good opportunity to get some revenge.
Alright, I'm gonna leave you there for now.
The Ragnul shall drink deeply.
And
But yeah, I would send a message to Herbrand, I guess.
okay. There's all
I guess it's
sorts
also
of
just
scouts that go back and forth, but yeah, it's not far, but isn't it almost a
I guess this is
day's
also
journey?
is Hogar gonna come with us again, or is Hogar now here? I should probably elaborate. He was our horse keeper for a while, so might be prudent to keep a tab on that.
Well, you'll have to go and find out.
Yeah. I'm sure he's also in my efforts of trying to gather supporters.
Oh, one of two things would have happened. Either you go and ask Hogar, and his response would be, "Do you think I would be staying here, lad?" Or you didn't ask him, and you're suiting up to go, and then you hear from behind you, "And just where the hell do you think you're going?"
I think that second one's more likely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Vane smiles. Apparently nowhere without you. Come on.
And you see a smile come over his face. Yeah. All right.
Oh. Trusty Hogar. Have you made any progress finding me that boar?
We go west of the mountains now. Oh, come on, Dill. You have spent your time over Yule actually quite busy. You have spent it with Damron at the forge, crafting an amulet. And also in the Hall of Fire, weaving your story, your poem, your epic poem of the events that summarized. And correct me if I'm wrong with this, I'm just taking a bit of liberty here, but as the poem was constructed, you perhaps told bits and pieces of it as it developed. And regularly in the Hall of Fire, a very, very captive audience.
I definitely think so. It's kind of a big part of why they even sent an elf out to be firsthand,
Yes.
have firsthand knowledge of what was going on and be able to relay the story of it.
And you've been asked multiple times to retell it from the beginning. Every time you've added a new part, they don't just want to hear that part. They want to hear it from the beginning, all of it again. And this story is not just a story. It has really happened, and it's current, and it is a threat that looms on the borders of the Hidden Valley. And so their interest is beyond just the quality of the story, but also in knowledge that they may need for their very survival. Now, this is technically a poem constructed here in Rivendell, so if you wanted to title it, we could add it to the Book of Songs. If you feel like that is part of that, because any poem can be set to music, as you know.
Yeah, I like that. Think on it.
Callum, if I haven't told you already, in the journal tab is a journal of songs.
I think. Yeah.
And Harebrand and Bane have both written some. But any song that's written in Rivendell has a bonus for whatever it's used for. That's what I'm referring to.
Cool.
And Damron,
Do you,
go ahead. Go
if you
ahead.
think it would be fitting, we could even call it Hiding of the Shadow.
Oh, wow. We could indeed.
Summary of book 1.
And perhaps there's a continuing story after book 2 is over. It becomes this massive epic that's got multiple parts. Damron is... The forges are... I don't know if you're... I don't know if you can even see that. Why is the pointer... I guess the pointer doesn't work in this game. That's right. I forgot. It's way over here, all the way to the west of the map. And his token is just to the west of it, right by the forge itself. And, yeah, over there. And so a lot of time would have been spent with him. A lot of time in Elrond's library, researching lore on how to construct it. And that's part of what happened to you over Yule is that you became an artificer, a crafter of what the outside world views as magic, but to the elves it is just life. It is normal for them. Now, before I continue with that line, just a bit of news of what's been going on. Gandalf had visited and met with Elrond towards the beginning of Yule. But he suddenly left one morning, early into it, which isn't out of normal behavior for Gandalf, but he left, and you only knew that he was heading... Well, he didn't specify. He mentioned that he had much to do, much to see, several to meet, and was worried. At least a look on his face. You know that the twins, Elrond's twin sons, Elladan and Elrohir, are increasingly out on errantry, keeping an eye on the area near the border of the Hidden Valley, but further out. They're often sent further out instead of really close to home.
It's getting more mog in the trees.
Yes. Further out towards that way to see what's going on, because you have thwarted that, and that's so close to home. You know that that's something that Elrond was concerned about. Something else that has changed. Whilst Gandalf was still in Rivendell, more often than not, Elrond was including you in the meetings and the discussions that they would have. A lot of it due to your first-hand account of what was going on, and also from your gaining of wisdom. But at one point, when you're in the library, this is after Gandalf had gone, and you're researching more knowledge for the construction of this amulet. The physical part of it, you've been working with Damron. But the blessing, that is something you learned from the library. And you're deep into the scrolls, searching some ancient lore, even going... A lot of Elrond's scrolls are in Quenya, which of course you can speak, but... And you don't even notice Elrond approach from behind. You have some skill at that, Angamandil. An artificer. Seems you were destined to be. And quite selfless, too. I understand this is for a friend of yours that you construct.
Herobrand, yes. My outing with this fellowship has changed me. I have felt inspiration which I've not felt before. This man, these people of Dale, they have a gift of the Maiar even. They are able to speak with animals, with birds.
That is a skill. And one from your recounting of your journey that aided you many a time.
Yes, the animals seem almost eager to speak with these men. As if Manwë has given them his blessing.
It
I fear there
isn't.
is more meaning to this.
Go ahead, sorry.
I feel there's more meaning to this, perhaps.
Well, it is
So I have
encouraging.
decided.
It is encouraging that men are gaining this ability that elves have had since time beginning. Would you walk with me, Agamandil? I have something to show you. May I take you away from your studies for a moment?
He just like nods sternly and goes to follow.
And he takes you. So his library is up a level. And he takes you down to the ground floor. And near the center part of it, in between the Hall of Fire and the Feast Hall, he takes you into an area which you know leads down into the vaults below. And it's a part of his house that is, out of respect, it's not kept locked, but out of respect, the citizens of Rivendell know it is not a place to be wandering. Yes, there are cellars down there where food is kept, but beyond that, you know that there are vaults upon vaults of ancient artifacts and blessings. And he takes you down past the cellars. And you've never been down here before. This is new to you. And, oops, sorry. As an artificer, I think it's time you saw this down here. Here is kept treasures of our people. Some even originate from Beleriand. And some we keep down here are further down are objects of evil. Evil to be kept away from the rest of the land. But I thought as an artificer, you should be aware of that which has been made by our people. And you are now a contributor. These items, perhaps you might learn something from them. Something that will aid you to become an artificer of legend, as I'm sure you would be.
I am honored.
And he stops and he picks up a sword. I haven't seen this in a while. Made in Gondolin. Used very well in battle in the Second Age. Memories. Memories. I don't come down here too often, for I get lost. Lost in thought. But I would see this amulet when you have it completed.
Of course.
And then he starts walking back up. And he continues. The shadow on our doorstep. It will not go away without our intervention, as we've discussed. And
My kin Elleray,
go ahead.
my kin Elleray would have you believe there is no hope at all. That it is not on our doorstep, but here, in our homes as we speak, in the world of man.
She is not alone
But you're
in
not.
that.
The words of Iluvatar have told us what will be. But I disagree. I do not think we should stand idly by and let fate come unhindered.
I hope your fellowship will be successful, and Gandalf in his efforts in bringing forth allies. Allies that we will need. We cannot withstand this alone. The Dunedain will support. That much we can be sure of. And I cannot see Dane turning down a fight to get revenge. Soon this may become Rivendell, that is, the launching ground for a major campaign across Eriador.
There will be bloodshed.
I suspect, in advance of an army, should one be raised, that your fellowship will head out in scouting. There is one of our kind that I would like to take with you. I want to increase the elvish presence in your fellowship. I haven't asked him yet. But I want you to take Daron. Daron has been working closely with Glorfindel and has been learning strategy and ways of battle. He's become a trusted lieutenant. And he's very handy with a bow.
second. Another of the Eldar would be greatly welcome. I know of Darren. We've trained together some, but one who works as closely with
Glorfindel.
Orphandale, thank you,
Glorfindel's
must have great skill indeed. Yeah, Glorfindel kills Balrogs.
Yeah.
Balrog
Glorfindel has
Slayer.
been Elrond's close friend for millennia. I believe he even goes back. He's definitely back to Second Age, but I'm not even sure if he might even back to First Age. I can't remember.
I want to say first age, I think, because he's considered to be as strong as a Maiar, basically, and has been around just as long. And he came back, I think, after dying.
He did.
He's one of the only elves who actually came back before the end of times.
And if I also remember correctly, he fought the Witch King and lived. The only one to do so. But he's the general of Elrond's forces. Understandably so. And yes.
Where is Daron now? I would speak with him in more detail about...
He is out on patrol with Glorfindel. They should return in a day or two.
Lord Elrond, may I request a boon of you?
Yes, of course. What is it?
The final legs of our adventure, I was in heavy close combat with a very large and fearsome foe. I am not, I hate to say, as deft with a sword as I feel I should be. And I'll like draw my sword at that point. As weapons go, it is a fine elven blade.
It's a very beautiful blade.
But you have many fine and ancient blades here in your treasury as well. Perhaps it would be an honor to use these tools again now that the shadow has returned. Would you grant me use of one of these magical weapons within your hold, and perhaps even train with me some before I venture out yet again into the darkness? And I'll like get on one knee and like hold my sword up to him, and I'm prostrating myself. And
Agamondil. You are a true warrior of elven kind. But that which you ask was already on my mind. I will grant you this. That there are much to choose from. And you have told me the story in quite detail of what you have encountered. I will have to look amongst them and decide which one is the best. Rise now, Agamondil. Warrior of Imladris. And now I will allow you to continue your studies. feel that very soon we shall have many a visitor here. Preparations need to be made. And he smiles and nods at you. And he goes out to his balcony of his library. You've been walking this whole time. I imagine the time when you bowed down requesting the sword is once you arrived back in the library.
Yeah.
And you see him out there deep in thought. And although I terribly hate to pause this narrative, but I must make a quick bio. I'm so sorry. I will be right back and we will continue.
I really want to be like, do any of your swords have a plus percentage chance to hit Lord Elrond? That's what I really need.
Which one of them will not have me in an endless fight? Is there any of them that can transfer my defense of a bonus to attack?
Yeah. Which of these swords does not require any skill and always hits perfectly? My swords is at 2, which I feel like should roll better than it does, honestly.
All right, sorry for that.
What else can I do next?
What are you discussing? Sorry.
No, we're just joking around.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, my axe is at 3, so it's not too far off.
Maybe I had bumped it up during Yule spent points because I feel like it maybe no, because we start with 2 and 1, so I feel like it's always been that. I don't know.
Okay. Carrying on. Slight change of scene, but still in Rivendell. Glorfindel signaled to his great white horse, Asphaloth, to stop with a click of his tongue. As they approached a ridge overlooking the hidden valley. One sec. By his side, Daron rode upon Telagor and stopped in stride. They were just returning from a patrol of the outer boundary of the lands surrounding the hidden valley. It had been a cold few days, and they longed for a hearth. Glorfindel was silent for a long moment. I never tire of this view when returning from a patrol. It reminds me of why we do it, of that which must be preserved. And until we go into the West, preserve this I shall. And he looks to his companion Daron. The shadow knocks at our door once again, and I shall rise to meet it if my lord commands it. And Daron, he falls silent for what seems like an age, just looking down into the valley, down towards the house of Elrond.
Then let us continue, so that we may protect our home and those who we serve.
Yes, protect we shall. Daron, you have been by my side for many a patrol. Been reliable and very good with a weapon. But this is our last patrol together, my dear friend. At least for a time.
Why do you speak of such things? I am not aware that I am changing of any.
Your service has been nothing but exemplary. There is nothing wrong. No problems, no troubles. Master Elrond has a new quest for you. One that will take you into the heart of the influence of the shadow. It will test your strength of will and your courage. This will be the biggest challenge that you have faced. Sorry, Callum, I interrupted you.
It's so good, it's so good.
Can you say again what you said?
Oh, no, you go ahead.
You just said this will be the biggest challenge that you have faced. Are you ready?
And I will use the skills that I have learnt from you. And I will come home knowing that I have served and done my duty, even if it means my life.
And that is why I believe Elrond chose you. I have a gift. I want you to take Telegor with you to carry you on your journey. I have trained him to be a valiant steed, should you wish it.
Why do you give me such a gift?
Because you've earned it. And your quest. Your quest is so important. Telegor, this is as an aside, it means swift horse. And he does live up to his name. But this quest is not this day. Come, let us descend. Let us make the final trek back. A warm hearth and the songs of the ages await. What do you say?
It has been some time we have served together, and I have learnt many skills from you, and I want to thank you for the time you have helped me become a strong and, well, able warrior to be able to protect. And to hear these songs, knowing that I will be leaving and possibly, but I will try my very best to return.
And I am sure that you will. But now shall we see who has the swiftest horse? And I'll race you to the gate.
It's not a race if you've already lost, my friend.
Challenge accepted. Yeah, yeah! And he takes off on his great white horse. And racing down that path you go. And hold on, I'm prepping something. Sorry. Wanderer.
Okay.
Last but not least. Your occupation over the Yule was to guard Bree in the Shire. And you correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just assuming here. I'm guessing, I kind of imagined that you used Bree as a base of operations, that you would return here often to occasionally have a warm bed and a warm meal and before heading back out, but obviously branching, around the borders of the Shire, all around it, and perhaps east of Bree as well, but not far because it's protecting Bree and the Shire, but probably a stint on Weathertop as well. And over the Yule, a couple of months, say, have gone by. You fought off a few roving orc parties and a band of goblin archers, actually. The latter who tried to ambush you, which was a mistake on their part. But you haven't seen any major movements. The efforts, say, you're patrolling the areas that are closest to the latest base of operations of your fellowship. It's only just north of you that the great battles happened, to where you nearly lost your life. Memories of that time still wash over you when you are alone. You're sitting alone at the prancing pony. And how lucky you were to have a fellowship that you do. And I'm going to begin your scene here in the common room of the prancing pony. It is an early evening, and I'll turn that down. And you're there alone with your thoughts. Perhaps you've just come back in from a patrol. Why is that not working out? And as you're sitting there, kind of lost in thought, this is near the end of Yule. So we are close to the start date. This is near the end of January. In the real world, sorry, January. And you hear a voice. May I join you? And you look up, and it's Gandalf. You know, you did choose chance meeting. Sure, you'll.
Yeah. Oh, you are always welcome to join me. Please, have a seat.
And he sits down. Oh, my bones. And how have you fared this Yule?
Well, as things go, pretty uneventful. Countered a few small bands of trouble, but nothing major.
The patrols, the orcs have died down?
Not completely, but I find it very odd considering what we encountered not too long ago and not too far from here.
Often that has been in my thoughts as well. I have been traveling widely over this time. And he leans in, looks about, subtly, but you can tell he's scanning the room a bit. And very gravely, and this is typical Gandalf, gets really serious. I've been to see one from my order, Radagast the Brown. The reports on the growth of a dark presence within the wood are greater than what I imagined. And he leans in even closer. Something other than spiders and goblins moves in the southern realm of the wood. The nature of which I dare not say. And I hope that in the name of all that is good and pure, that my suspicions are wrong. It is an evil that I... And he stops. He drifts off. His mind is wandering, concerned with something. Sits back. A smile comes over his face. Well, shall we have some food? There is a journey ahead. And he motions to one of the servers, and you hear him mutter, "A couple of ploughmen, please. Oh, and a mug of ale. Two. And he turns back to you. I'm just now on my way back from the arid Luine to Rivendell. The stubbornness of dwarves knows no bounds. Their numbers are not what they once were, but there is a movement growing. A movement to act upon the advances of the enemy. He leans in. Belar and his fellowship are there now. A time of change is coming, I feel. Food is brought to your table, and he spends a little moment eating a bit. You can tell he's not eaten in a while. And he eats a bit, then takes a sip of his ale, sets it down. Ride with me to Rivendell. We must act now that the cold begins to wane. And he leans in. The troll camps remain. And there are 3 young hobbits still missing. That has been weighing upon my mind greatly. We cannot leave them to suffer a fate worse than death.
Agreed.
Will you come?
Absolutely. Now that the winter is coming to an end, the other rangers will be on the move more. They can look after Bree in the Shire in my stead.
I must confess that I did run into Talendil. I requested him to release you to come with me. And he has granted. Indeed, I had to find him to be able to find you. You cover your tracks well. Now, do you have a horse?
Yes, I have a horse that was given to me by the elves.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, let us finish up our meal. And we should be off. Do you have anything else to take care of before we go? We have a few days' ride ahead of us.
I am ready to go when you are. Rangers do not carry much. Always on the ready.
And so you finish up. And the stables there in the back. So the prancing pony has got a big archway in the middle of it. It leads back into a little courtyard where there's stables. And the common room there where you were at is at the front of the building on the left side. And prior to that, Gandalf had spoken to Butterbird to have the horses prepared from the stable lads. That was before you finished your ales. And you take off, heading straight east out of town. And for the first few hours of the journey, Gandalf is quite quiet. And then out of the silence, he speaks again. I've seen many a calamity and strife in this land over my time. But the attack upon the Shire, I failed to reckon with it, and it fills me with increasing unease. And his mind, he drifts off. He's wandering. Not wandering, wondering. And at that point, in your own mind, Wanderer, you flash back to a scene a week ago. You and Fulvis. He had been visiting you in Bree, collecting stories, news of any movements of orcs and trolls and of your exploits. And you were escorting him back to the Shire. He had asked you to join him. And this is going through your mind as you're riding along. And as you journeyed back towards the Shire, along the way, Fulvis is delighting in the telling of stories that he's written and the singing of songs with you. And It's just over a day's journey. I believe it's a couple days to the Shire, if you're going quite leisurely. And the whole journey, he's been his jovial self. And as you approach the border, you stop, and he turns to you and he says, "Thank you for accompanying me one more time. Ever do I feel safe when in your fellowship?" And he looks off towards the Shire longingly for a moment, looks back at you. The Shire is wounded, and I feel my place is there to heal it and protect it. As much as I am compelled to meet the shadow head on to prevent it from ever reaching the Shire, I'm just a hobbit. There is much that I can do to protect and defend my people. My time journeying with all of you has given me wisdom of the ways of the shadow. Tell the others that I will miss them. Herobrand and his birds, Bane and his mighty axe. And the wonderful stories of elven lore that Angamando would tell. Perhaps our roads will cross again sometime soon. But don't be a stranger. Guests for tea are always welcome. Farewell.
You will surely be missed.
I expect to hear tales to add to my collection of stories from your further adventures. Farewell,
Indeed,
wanderer.
my friend.
Farewell.
Farewell.
And he walks on, and after he gets a little ways away, he turns and he waves. And he turns back and heads towards the Shire, and you can hear him humming. You can hear him humming a song of Bilbo's. And you know it. It's "The Road Goes Ever On." And it fades as he goes into the distance. And perhaps at that point, we take a break. We are at the halfway point. Or just beyond it, actually.
All right.
Cool. And back. Okay, so that's everyone has an initial scene. Some of them briefer than others, but we need to cycle back around. And so I don't know if we're gonna, by the end of this session, if the band will be entirely back together, but will be on their way. Primarily, it's Bane and Herobrand have got quite a journey across Ravanian, but although I'm going to summarize much of that, but I thought it best to get back to them first. Is Don back, by the way? He's muted. He is. Oh no, I think your audio's doing that again, Don. Because if you're talking, I can't
His
hear
audio
you.
hates him today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Times them out.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it wants to keep cutting out. Okay.
Okay. So, some of what you two are doing, I would like to just collectively between the three of us do a bit of narrative for some of it, not all of it. I do want to do some of the interactions with some of the groups of people you spoke of. Thranduil, perhaps, and perhaps Beorn. The rest we can perhaps summarize.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So, prior to that, then, we are... So, as I put the start date for the 6th, I would think just prior to that, a couple weeks even, would it be... Let me turn this music down. Sorry, it's loud on my end. Just prior to that, like a couple of weeks, you guys begin your movements, at least for the stuff in Ravanian, just so that by the time you get to Rivendell, it isn't like summer. But and they'll been waiting there for like months. You know, they're all partied out. Just where you been? So
We had to wait for the snow to melt in the high pass.
yes, yeah, we have that to decide what we're gonna do. Well, by the time you get there, at least it's gonna be near the end of February, but it's still gonna be quite snowy up there. Although you haven't got Saruman throwing weather spells at you, and not yet anyway. But all right. So interject as needed here. So the two of you have your Yule time, and somewhere towards the end of the first month after Yule, you two get together, let each other know what each king has pledged, and any wisdom gained from your councils with your respective kings.
Yeah. I would tell him, the increased security for the caravans moving south, the scouts had gone to bed, the pledge of 100 warriors of my folk, and any volunteers who wish to go, along with messages to all the other Dwarven kingdoms. And then
Say what? Dale has pledged 30 bowmen.
Oh, that's good. And then
Legendary as they are in the bow.
Yes.
And
Each worth 5 dwarves. No.
I forget where in the park.
the competition begins.
I forgot where in the festivities it happened, so you might or might not recognize my shining new armor and weapon. Might have to do a double take of me as I approached.
Yeah, I would think that he probably wouldn't even have known about it.
Yeah.
Because if he stayed over just maybe for the first day in Erebor, and it was the second day that Dane gave you his presents, his gifts, he may not have known about it.
I'm walking around with shining mail.
And then when I see, aren't you sparkly?
Bane will just go, it's alright, it'll get scuffed up. get some use.
They buffed you up nicely.
Well,
I
it
can
comes
hardly
with
look
being.
at you with the light shining out at me.
Well, it's been sitting in a vault for a while, and plus, champion of Erebor and all that, and he kind of just rubs his head and he goes, "It is what it is." I'm sure Hogar laughs at that.
You seem to have grown in stature. At least your head, anyway.
Uh, Better to hit orcs with, yes. You kind of just.
Well, you just get in the room with them, you shine, and they'll run away with the light.
Yes, so something has to light our way for your eyes.
Uh-huh. I laugh at him. All right. Aren't you pretty? I almost want to kiss you. You're so beautiful, Bane.
Trying throws his hand a little bit, and his big new axe kind of takes with him. He's like,
All right, let's get down to business.
Yes. I don't know about you, but I think we should go see Thranduil next, or at least Belaganor. Maybe he can fill us in on what's going on.
Yeah. Thranduil will probably be the toughest nut to crack.
Probably, but he's also first in, the walking order.
More resources, but
Herobrine,
Plus,
oh, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Here, I was just gonna say. Plus, he's on the way to. My lord suggested the Bjornings, so.
yeah, sure. Sounds good to me. I'm sure he'll be. He can't but be charmed with you.
Oh, of course.
In your finery.
You're more the talker than I. Typical counsel right here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go.
We're both great at these skills. Anyway. Did you level anything up? Because I don't know if I did. I'm pretty sure I didn't for any of those.
I can sing a little bit better.
Oh, I guess I can sing. That is true. I have singing at 3. I forgot that that's kind of during the. Although my awe is good. Awe is good for first meeting people, so I guess that would help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Herobrine, you've got persuade.
Yeah, I do have persuade. Yeah.
Otherwise, you guys are going to convince these people all in song. So you're going to be doing a musical.
Yeah.
We could do Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shining Star for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna show up shining. I'll be doing the awe, and then we can both sing at the same time.
Huh.
All right.
Anyway, let's make our way to the forest.
Yeah.
So Herobrine, your horse's name is, I forget.
I forget, but I've renamed it in any case. Feargast, Fiery Spirit.
Feargod.
Feargast.
Oh, right. You could, on your character sheet where you've got your horse, which is the Rouncy type, you could,
change it, yeah.
The pen and paper icon, you could rename it if you wanted. If you do that, though, somewhere on the description, make sure you write that it is a Rouncy, so I know the stats and stuff for it.
Yeah.
But that's up to you. Up to you entirely. And then, Bane, you have a pony, I believe.
Yep, I have a pony.
Zygokiled.
Zygokiled, yes. Silver glass.
Yeah.
Unless I was given a boar.
Not yet.
Oh, maybe you have a ram or a goat.
You've gotten 2 good gifts. Good, excellent gifts. We need maybe book 3. All right. Heading west, and Hogar is, of course, right there with you.
Not as shiny, but
And surprising or not surprising, it didn't take him long to get ready. He already had a lot of things prepped, ready to go. You can tell perhaps he probably was prepping it from some time ago. And you go west. And you do know a path. So the Woodland Realm is near the eastern edge of the forest, north of the mountains of Mirkwood. And damn it. Sorry, I gotta get it. I'll open something else up while I talk, but hopefully I can do both at the same time, but we'll so see. But in your dealings with the Elven Kingdom, there is a way into it that you're aware of.
Oh, I guess I should probably ask. Did I? Because we kind of breezed by that. Did I find the information on said legend in the chamber?
I forgot all about that. Yes, you did mention that. I figured we were gonna get back to that, but I skipped it. Sorry. You didn't necessarily find like here's a map, go right here, but you did find descriptions. There's not a lot because it is quite ancient, but you did find descriptions that the base of Mount Graham has a lot of narrow little, I don't know what the geographical term is, or geological term perhaps is the word, but it has a lot of narrow, I don't even want to use the word valleys because they're really, really, really narrow, but crevices. There's just, it's almost like a maze, and you can easily get lost in it. Part of the design of the dwarves for choosing the place, especially for this entrance, but this entrance is down in that part of it. So there is a main entrance which is higher up the mountain, but these are down, and it's slightly not on the north side, but more like the northwest side is where it is meant to be. And it is marked with a sign of Durin that, of course, you can only see in the moonlight.
Of course.
But it doesn't have to be on Durin's day. At least that isn't in the legends.
Good news is at least my usual romping around time is the night, so...
Yeah. And, here we go. It was in the spot that I was looking for. Just need to get to the map. There it is. Okay. So I was just looking for a map of Mirkwood here, and the exact location of the Elven Realm. Okay. So, on the main map here...
I think it's where it says Wood Elves.
Yeah, just to the west of that. I mean that is a clue, but it's where the two marker where the two rivers there come together. It's just north of that junction, and there's a small bit of mountain outcropping here. It's just north of that, and it's kind of into those mountains that the realm, his series of caves are. But you know that on that eastern edge there, because it's right near Erebor, there is a path into it. Because you do have trade routes between them, obviously, and, emissaries and such that might go back and forth.
You mean it's not completely by barrel? Yeah.
No, not always. Just between Lake Town. So, you two get close to the edge, or you get to the edge of the wood, actually, close to where the pathway is, and from up in the trees, you hear talking. Well, Bane, son of Wayne, and Herobrand, a visit to the Woodland Realm. And you recognize that voice.
Look up.
You look up,
Yep.
and excuse me, and you see Laskalin, one of the Mirkwood elves who had journeyed west with Belaganor and was with you for part of the time early on. They had journeyed back. They had taken, I think they were escorting some of the dwarves that you had rescued earlier, if I remember right. This is early on in the campaign. I should
Yes,
take better
I believe.
notes of these things.
Michael Vannon. That's all my Sindarin I know, but there you go.
Let's go with a simple hello.
Maegavanen Melon.
Nod my head.
How do you fare? And they quickly get down out of the tree. And he's not alone. There's a couple of other elves with him that you haven't met yet. But
I fare better since I've seen you. How is it with you, my friend?
I would love to say everything is grand, but what a way to greet a friend, huh?
We've heard the wood grows darker of late.
It has indeed. Ever are we in defense. Although I will say we have had a bit of a pause in our campaign. For the moment, at least the realm is secure. But there is much that moves through the wood and is still not safe to travel through most of it. The spiders keep encroaching.
Yes, we've heard of a large one, quite a big pest. One by, God, how to pronounce his name again?
You're talking of Towler.
Towler, yes.
I count my blessings that I have not seen him. But some of my companions have. But tell me, my friends, what brings you to the wood?
I seek to parley with the king. We have some mutual interests that we'd like to discuss with him.
Much has gone on since our journeys with Belaganor, and you all.
Well, come. I will take you to the door. Although I cannot guarantee an audience, but tell me of your exploits as we journey. I would love to hear. And he and one other elf journey with you. He speaks some Sindarin to the other two that were with him, who stay. You can tell they're perhaps tasked with keeping an eye on the eastern border. Not as heavily guarded because the dwarves and men are not their enemies. Now the journey to the door, to the base of the mountain, is not far, but it's enough for a bit of a summary. And I got off of one of my maps and I need to have that back. Where are you at? There it is. Alright. So they escort you into the wood. It gets denser. And leads you up, and there's one of the rivers that flows, or a tributary that leads into it. A bridge spans it. Beyond it, a mountain rises. Pillars out front are carved to look like trees. Great, great trees of elven lore. And a big archway with gates that are open is before you. And Laskalin leads you across. There are sentries at the door. And it takes you inside, and you're in a bit of a antechamber, like a place that would be used for defense, really, if it was sealed, and the initial welcoming of visitors, but with an escort of Laskalin. There's an arch opposite you, not quite as tall, but still very grand. And he takes you through that, and there's the corridor beyond is shaped like the arch door. And you come into a vaulted chamber. And in the center of it is a massive stone pillar carved again like a tree. And in fact, the vault is so tall, if it wasn't for the elven lighting, you wouldn't be able to see the top for the shadow. But all of the lights inside here, you cannot judge how they work other than some elven magic. And for they do not flicker like a flame.
And mutter something about elven witchcraft.
And he looks at you and smiles. From this room, there's 4 exits from it, but he leads you on the opposite side. And that is a smaller passageway than the one that you came into when you came into it. And it leads you down. You go down a bit and wind around. And there's a couple of corridors that lead off of it, and it takes you down some stairs. And you go into another chamber, and there's an underground river that flows through it, and a bridge has been built over it, quite ornate. More stone pillars carved to look like trees to support the ceiling. But beyond it is a wide staircase carved into the stone. And it leads up. And Laskalin says, "Wait here." And it's quite pleasant in here. The lights, it's a very warm and cozy feeling as the water flows through. And he goes up the stairs, and he's gone for a little while. And then he eventually comes back and he says, "Thranduil will see you. Although I will warn you, his mind is quite occupied." And he gestures.
Any
Go ahead, sorry.
any advice? Oh,
Well, I'd say be polite, but you already are. Don't take offense at how blunt he may be sometimes. Ever as his mind on the wood. And Luskin says, "I'll wait for you out by the bridge."
Bane nods.
And he gestures to the stairs. And you go up the stairs and you come into the most massive vaulted chamber. The tree carved pillars are everywhere. There's multiple levels. The lights, the elvish lights, are everywhere to light up all aspects of it. And there was a bit of a glitter off of the stone, off of the cave-like stone. And it makes the whole room sort of sparkle. Further up into the chamber, because it does rise, and there's different stairways that take you up and around, and pathways. But you see a platform at the top. And lounging on a throne is the Elven King. And he doesn't even look in your direction. He's looking off to his right, deep in thought. How do you approach?
No. Well, I guess I'll try to subvert expectations. And I'll walk up and I'll go, "Hail, King Thranduil, Lord of the Woodland Realm." And I'll try to awe him a little bit with my presence, if possible. Try to put on a little bit of a more echoey voice.
Right, of course. Could have a roll for that, actually. Mostly I would just role play it, but I just kind of want to see, although
I'll start.
I'm not going to count a failure here.
All right. So let's see.
I'm just looking to see if there's bonus successes.
Yes. So I'm favored in it. Oh, that's a new thing. It has on the side. Roll characteristics. Interesting. All right.
Really?
And
I
yeah.
haven't seen it. Where is that at? Is it next to your...
Like when you hit something to roll, and now it's under the roll formula. It tells you what you have.
Really? Oh, I haven't tried that out yet. That must be one of the new updates.
All right. So I'm not weary. I'm not miserable. I am favored in it. I will use my helm to be bonusy. And I'm underground. Let's make this great.
Good God, I
Oh,
forgot
that's
all these bonuses you had.
Apparently, inspired only pops up now when you hit the hope bonus die.
I must investigate this.
Like it doesn't like inspired doesn't pop up until you hit the hope die, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Am I
it
able
does. I'm sorry, Don, what?
Am I able to assist him?
Well, on one side, I'm not sure with all of his bonuses you're going to need to, but
Maybe the council leads here. Who knows?
But yes, you can. Do you have awe?
Yeah, I have 2 in awe,
Oh, okay.
and I have my
Your
my
brooch.
dragon clasp. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll hit support from a companion then.
All right. And if you take a hope, Herobrine. By the way, you guys have all maximized your hope and endurance. I forgot to ask you that from the beginning.
Yes, I
Okay.
believe I did.
Okay. Okay.
And
Let's make the roll.
Oh. Wish for more 6s, but I'll take it.
Wow. But the grand total is 31, and you only needed 13. But damn, no extra successes there. All right. Um,
Well, is it once per night I can do that? Because I mean, I'm assuming we're going to be traveling, so I guess I could
Yeah.
always just
yeah, it's
re-roll
not for.
that.
Are you talking about?
Armina's thing.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yes,
Well, it's
once
for
per
the.
night.
I think
Yeah.
you need to be outside under the starlight.
Yes, once per
Yeah.
night under the stars.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we're good.
All right. And he turns, sits up, wanders to the edge, and stands up, sorry, and wanders to the edge of the platform. And he's some 15 to 20 feet above you. I mean, there's stairs between you and him, but so he's not like straight above you, but
Yes.
Bane, son of Wayne, and Harrobrand of Dale, come to my court. A visit I have not had, but you are welcome. He nods his head down.
With that, I will approach then, more than we already have.
Thank you, my lord.
Not in my head.
You seek something from me. I will hazard a guess.
Doesn't everyone who speaks to a king seek something?
He smiles.
But we seek something that will help all of us. The shadow grows everywhere.
Indeed, it
In
does.
in the forest, in the grasslands, in the south, and west of the mountain, and east of the mountains, in Eriador.
Oh,
We seek help. Because together we feel we're stronger than apart. We need help east of the mountains. I mean, west of the mountains, jeez. We need help in Eriador to fight the growing shadow.
opponents you have fought before.
Yes,
We've all fought before.
to your glory. And my lord, the King of Dale, the King in Dale, has pledged support.
As has the king under the mountain.
And we seek help from our old ally, you, in this endeavor.
Indeed, the aid of Dane. Well, that does not come as a surprise. If nothing else, revenge for his son. And for Dale, that is commendable. I am not without heart for the plight of Eriador. But I have problems of my own, of which I am sure some tales have escaped this wood.
Indeed, indeed.
We
And of
have
course,
heard
your primary focus must be on defense of your realm and the wood in general. But that doesn't mean that you can't assist in this other undertaking. Likewise,
Yep.
my lord in Dale, he must look to his people first. But
Yes. And as one would help another. The plights of your realm are the plights of ours. For these spiders, and the great one at that, perhaps can be combated and at least pushed back. For, get metaphorical here, for one leaf can be blown away, but the whole branch can stand strong.
I need both of you to make persuasion rolls. I'm going to use the normal council rules for this.
Oh, jeez, persuasion. Okay.
Or you could, okay, you could do. Actually, what you have just said, is insight a better option for you?
Not really. No. Nah, not at all. Riddle might, I might stand a half chance at, but
Just by what you were saying. So, insight to observe and evaluate, persuade to make a point. Those work. Riddle is to gather information, which is not
yeah,
quite
kind
what
of
you were
was.
doing.
Kind of, we're talking about metaphor thing there, but that's all I really got.
Harebrand does have persuade, though. And Don, I don't know if your audio is cut out again, but so I don't know if you can even hear me, but
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you. I've heard you the whole time. I don't know
Okay.
why it keeps cutting out. Jeez. It's
Yeah.
like every
Well,
5
if you'd like me to assist, I guess I can assist because I'm not meant for it. If you have persuade.
I do have persuade.
Okay. Go ahead and
So,
make a roll, please. This is I
so
want to use normal council rules for this.
do I get support then?
Uh,
From him or no?
Bane, do you have no points in persuade
Nor insight.
nor insight? Yes.
I'd still like to help if I could, but I do not have points in that. That is correct.
So I probably just get a straight roll. It's favored though. That's
Actually, hold on. There is a rule in the book. If the role playing is good of the player, whether they have a skill or not, this is in the council rules, don't let that go unrewarded. So, despite not having a point in persuade, I will allow you to spend a hope to help.
Yay.
Okay, so hope point
You
bonus
do
die.
fellowship focus also, isn't that a thing?
Oh, what is that? What is that rule? Oh, dear.
Sharing hope.
You just get an extra dice instead of one. So yes, you get an additional bonus dice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot you guys are fellowship focuses.
I forgot I should have rolled
So a
bonus.
bonus dice then, okay. And a hope point bonus die. Okay.
Yeah, and
All
does it have a tick? Does it have a box in there for fellowship focus? I can't remember.
I didn't
No.
see it, so I just put a bonus die.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's good.
And then I took one for you said for the role play and whatever. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's just the help from a companion. You don't add an extra plus on top of that.
Okay.
That was just to allow him to spend the hope.
So I have two. So I have two bonuses basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus
All right, here goes.
Plus your favorite.
Right. Plus I'm favored. It's it knows that. Okay. All right. Let's roll.
A success.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh, jeez, I didn't realize you had to hit an 18 there. Wow.
Yeah, I have a high. That's why it's favored is good, but yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I need to make a note of this. All right. Long has my people defended our realm from the spiders, and we have not asked for help. But it is difficult for me. not in the generosity, but in sacrificing warriors. What is it you would have me do specifically? What help do you seek for the most benefit for your situation?
Well,
There are great camps of the enemy.
yeah, we would seek what you can spare. Perhaps those that would volunteer to go. Um, you're the king of a great realm, and you have a responsibility to your people, as you say. And that obviously is your first responsibility. But united, we can stand and fight this, and divided, we will lose one by one. So if you can help in any way, your aid will be greatly appreciated and noted. And do not think you do not have friends. We fight the same enemies as you. We will assist in fighting the spiders and the creatures of the wood. The men of Dale, guard the borders. They guard the borders from the Easterlings as well. And without us, that would be another enemy at your doorstep.
And the dwarves from the orcs and
Indeed.
drakes of the mountains.
So we seek what you can give, not more than you can give.
Are we officially in council rules?
Yep.
I'm just curious.
Yep, that's
okay.
That's what I'm doing. So this is the next round. So that's worth another persuade roll from Harobrand. Bane, what would you like to do for this round?
I would like to sing a song.
Okay.
I would like to sing of the battle of the five armies, and dwarves and elves and men working together and pushing back foes.
Okay. Let's have a persuade roll and a song roll then.
Mine will be just a straight roll, right? At this point,
unless you're spending more hope.
Oh, I'll spend the hope. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I spend more than one hope?
You can only do one, I'm afraid.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll spend that. Okay. So I've got a hope bonus point and then my regular roll. Okay. So here we go.
Yeah.
Not my special song, but that's all right.
Whoa! Looky there.
Let's see what I can roll.
Look at that, both of you.
I know.
You guys always do this to me. You roll well in a difficult situation.
I'm just glad I overcame that. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw the eye and I was like,
oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Overcame it.
Out of my hall, you filthy dwarf.
You have summoned Sauron himself.
Maybe at first it's like a sadder song, but then we overcome the shadow in the song.
All right. It is not foolish words you speak, gentlemen. Yes, my kingdom does benefit from the defense of your peoples on my eastern border.
And northern border.
Yes. Were it not for my current situation, I would have already granted you what you need. It is not an easy decision. What I can give you at this point escorted passage across the wood for the free peoples united against the shadow. At the moment it is not normally safe, but I will ensure your safety and those that need to pass from east to west, west to east.
I thank you, King. And if there's anything we can do in return.
I nod my head.
Do you wish to try anything, to say anything more?
And my lord, yeah. If there are those among your people who would willingly take the fight to the enemy in Eriador, would you allow them?
For them to go would be one less warrior I have for here.
I understand what I'm asking. But if in their hearts that's what they wanted, to fight there, would you allow that?
I think that's an insight roll.
Oh God.
I know only certain things allowed, but I'm still going to try to pitch this. And perhaps, my king, if we could strengthen the defenses of your borders, you would need less men. And the craftsmen of my people is not to be slighted. Maybe a craft roll? Crafts.
Or just support from my role.
It's going to have to be a support on that one, but
I'll support if need be.
yeah,
My insight is 0.
Although I want to make this without a hope. Just add your +1 Herobrand to your insight roll.
So support from a companion, do that?
Yeah, do that. It's fine.
Okay.
Does he get the extra one from Fellowship Focus?
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah, so +2. So do support from companion and then another +1 on your die.
And a bonus dice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I couldn't tell that was a Gandalf or an eye at first. It was on the edge.
It was an eye, but you still got a success there. Strengthening the eastern border would allow me more warriors. My lords, I must ponder what you have said. I cannot give you a guarantee at this point. But what I will guarantee is that depending upon how my campaign progresses, I may be able to grant some of my archers. But I will also honor your request at taking a few volunteers.
Thank you, my lord.
Thank you, King.
The archers of Mirkwood are well renowned and would be a great benefit. And we understand the terms.
But please, while you are here in my realm, feast and be merry before you make your journey, and my word stands. I'll provide escort across the elven path. It is the safest of all the paths at the moment, but the escort will make it completely safe and speedy.
Thank you again.
And he just
A bow.
nods.
A bow.
And he goes
Bow my
back
head.
and sits in his throne. All right. I'm going to jump back to Rivendell. Thank you for waiting patiently, my players. And this is actually happening a little bit later than what the scene we just saw, but we're not in chronological order here. It's just scenes. Daron, you come riding in with Glorfindel. And Token, put you in the courtyard. And Glorfindel beside you. On the balcony above you is Lindir, the steward of Rivendell. Agamondil, I'll make your token visible, but you're on the balcony right now, but you can move it to wherever you wish, but... Whether you are there or not is... where would you be, actually? Unicorn?
I might be in the courtyard waiting them.
Okay. You would have known, you would have had an indication of roughly when patrol is expected to end. They happen so often and have done so for years that you can kind of predict these things. Plus, with an elf, there's always a bit of word on the air amongst the birdsong of the comings and goings within the Hidden Valley. And these two come riding in at a great pace and kind of skid to a stop. Let's have an athletics roll there, Daron. See who wins the race.
I was about to ask who won the race.
So, this is the first you've done this. So all you do is click the word athletics.
Yeah, and then just press roll when it's...
Yep, and if you want to influence
yeah.
it, you can spend a hope point.
Nah.
If you want to do a straight up
Be
roll,
sane.
that is fine.
Yeah.
You failed.
Oh. Doesn't even view it for me right now because it's really crap.
What happened? You cut out on me there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit.
And Glorfindel gets a Gandalf.
Yeah. But I'm going to say it's close. But you skid to a stop, and you see these two, Angamandil, almost like young elves, although Glorfindel is far from a young elf. But Daron is still relatively young as far as elves go. just under half a millennium old. And Glorfindel is laughing.
Hail!
Agamandil! He dismounts of his horse, and he looks to you, Diron. That was some race. You nearly beat me.
I see I've a lot. I must get faster if I am to beat you.
Perhaps next time.
I can never match your speed.
It would be brazen to think you are capable of besting Lord Glorfindel in anything.
Ah, my friend, how are you? It is.
And well, though troubled and pondering the goings-on.
How goes your studies recently?
Quite well. I have crafted my first artifact.
Really? Well, that is an accomplishment.
Would you care to see it, Lord Glorfindel?
I think we both would.
Do you have a pop-up of it, Andy, to show the art?
Ah, let's do that. I believe I've made it. Yes. Under the journal tab, under a folder called Blessed Items, Palananlin. I can make it visible to everyone, though.
I pull it out.
There it is.
It's just set in a small silk fold. And I raise it and I blow into the little whistle piece on it, and a few birds out of nowhere just like fly down and start circling around.
And when he did so, you didn't hear a whistle.
White snow owls just appear and start going in these circles around me.
It is very beautiful, Agamandil. Don't you think so, Diron?
Reminds me of my greatest and most beautiful dream I've ever had.
Yes, the animals seem to react well to it. I do not have the gift of speech with them, though I know of one who does and who might find this useful.
And that is very honorable of you, Agamandil. I'm sure he will appreciate it. Or is it a she? He, she?
It is a great man warrior, a dragon slayer, a troll slayer. His fierceness in battle would impress even you, I believe, Lord Glorfindel.
Someone who sounds worthy of a gift?
All those in my fellowship were quite worthy. Perhaps, Lord Darren, you would wish to hear more of my companions. I turn to
I
you.
would, as I've recently been told that I am to leave, and that's as much as I know so far. I've not been told any specifics when it comes to my next orders.
Do you wish to leave Rivendell?
I only do what I am ordered, and Rivendell is my home, and if I am to leave and to be able to serve and protect my people, then I will do what I must.
Master Elrond and Lord Glorfindel believe that your abilities would be quite a boon to the Fellowship and assailing the Shadow. But what is it that your heart bids you do? Have you ventured out forth into the greater wilds?
It is. I believe I have once or twice through my patrols to ward off any unwelcomed visitors, but my heart tells me that I need to, there is something greater I must overcome.
Many great things await us. The greatest of which lie beyond the halls of Mandos, which we cannot foretell. And until then, we must live our greatest lives in protection against darkness. I would request your kinsmanship amongst our fellowship.
Then yes, I accept your. Yes. If it may help me overcome any big and difficult situations and to be able to protect my people, then I humbly accept.
Glorfindel speaks. I have worked with Daron closely for quite some time, as you know. And I am confident that his boat will protect you, will aid you in your quest. I have every belief in that. Although I will miss him.
May all of Arda benefit from the companionship which we shall form amongst all the Eldar.
And at this point, a couple of the stable attendants come to collect the horses. They've been making their way up. It's been there. They couldn't miss the horse clatter on the cobblestones. The stables are all the way to the west, near where Damron is, near the forge. It's a larger building there. This one here. But Glorfindel says, but what we are wanting right now is a warm hearth. We have been out for a couple of days, as you know.
Lindir, are there songs happening in the Room of Warmth? What's it called?
The Hall of Fire.
Hall of Fire.
Yes. And he looks at you and he's quite a... you don't get a whole lot of emotion out of Lindir, because you know he carries a great depression from some exploits in the past. But he looks to you and there's always song in the Hall of Fire. And perhaps we'll hear from your poem again. I know there are many who want to.
Many are the details within our last escapade. The foes with which we faced. Well, Lord Glorfindel, it would have been nice to have you at our side, though we did prevail. I fear you will see more battle than you wish going forward. We all shall.
Well, then let us go. Let us go in. This is Glorfindel. And he starts to head in, and he looks back to you guys. Are you coming?
Of course.
And as you guys turn to go, Lindir stays. And he stares at the path that you came up, the one that leads out over the water. And you hear him whisper, slightly above a whisper, Nuiri Theodlin El Brenil Fuin. Translation in the chat. And what he exclaimed, you, all of you, feel it. A presence. And you look, and riding down from the mountain path, actually just about to cross, what's riding down the path is heading towards the long bridge there. Someone who has been away for some time. Arwen returns with a host of the Galadrim and some from Rivendell to escort her. You know very well that she has been visiting her people in Lorien for some time, since long before you departed at the beginning of your quest. You know very well that Lindir has a very strong connection to her because of he feels personally to blame for the loss of her mother. And I did not make a bunch of tokens of the Galadrim, but they come riding up. Lindir never moves. And she rides up with her entourage. The stable hands hadn't gotten too far with the two horses before they turned back. For now there are a dozen. And a glowing radiance just seems to surround her. Show your token bigger. And her face, the expression on it is silent, almost emotionless to some degree. Lindir is just speechless. Comes up to her horse and holds the reins. And some of the men who, men, smack myself. Some of the elves, the male elves who are with her, help her down, and Lindir takes her hand. My lady, your return is a surprise. And he turns to the others and says, "There suelanon." And holds his arms out. And Lindir is just stunned in awe. Yes, she says. I have returned. And I bear a grave message from the lady in the wood. But not here. Glorfindel comes over and he bows his head to her. Please, let us escort you in. And he, as you're going in, oh, there's an echo somewhere. Oh, it's gone. Lindir and her are ahead. Glorfindel is behind with, I'm going to move you up there, Ron. Glorfindel mutters to both of you, Agamandil and Diron. Well, this partly explains Elrond's mood. He must have known.
I will go and tell Lord Elrond of your arrival, my lady, and give her a bow.
She bows and
Please
smiles.
warm yourself. We were on our way for song in the Hall of Fire. If you would like to rest and reprieve.
She closes her eyes and smiles. How I miss the Hall of Fire. Yes. I shall go there at once. And Lindir goes with her. So does Glorfindel. Diron, do you join?
Yes. I do.
Okay. You don't have to go far to find Elrond. You see that he was already on his way. You meet him in the center on the way from his library. I'll put you up there.
Master Elrond.
Agamandil.
As you may already suspect, your daughter has returned.
I heard it on the wind.
Of course. She awaits you in the Hall of Fire. May I accompany you?
I would have it no other way. I have come to enjoy your counsel. You are wise.
I give him a head nod, but my facial expression doesn't change. Just always very stern looking, very serious.
And he walks into the Hall of Fire. Hold on. It takes me a while to these translations to get that copied and pasted. And he says, El Sila Erin Lu Ego Vadadwin. Holds his arms out. And her smile broadens. And she says, Suiladar. And quite a very long embrace. And neither, although they're both happy to see each other, you can tell that behind the smile, behind the happiness is a lingering darkness. A worry, maybe. Almost a knowing that each of them have of what the other is thinking. Although you cannot confirm it. Father, I bear a message from the lady. And it is in part the reason for my return. In addition to missing you. And she hugs him again. And here in this valley. And Elrond and her companions aren't far behind. They're lingering in the Hall of Fire, her entourage. And he says, you must be exhausted. I must see to your comfort. Lendir, can you see to her companions? And Lendir nods. It goes to them. And Elrond says, come. Let us go to the library. I will have refreshments brought. Library is on the east side here, right before this balcony. And they exchanged the usual pleasantries of how was the journey, run into any trouble? No, they did not. And even if they did, the warriors that traveled with her are some of the most elite. And while she is taking rest, Elrond comes up to you, Diron. You have served me well, Diron. Glorfindel speaks very highly of you.
He has taught me much, my lord.
Elrond looks at Glorfindel. Well, I see. A secret cannot be contained. He smiles slightly. Yes, Diron. Angamandil's continuing quest beyond our borders requires your aid. I seek to have a greater elvish presence. When I first sent Angamandil and his fellowship out, we knew not the scope of the Shadow's movements. And upon his return, we find that their movements are great. Something that we cannot sit idly by and send out the odd sort of scout. Therefore, a new fellowship containing you will be sent out. I hope we can garner the aid of our allies, both near and afar. But as yours...
I am ready to leave.
Go ahead, carry on.
I am ready to leave as soon as is necessary, Master Elrond.
I know that two have set out from the east. A man and two dwarves. They are on their way. What aid they have garnered, I know not. And near to us already. Oh, I can use this word. You guys are all elves. Randir. That's the elvish word given to wanderer. Name, sorry, not word. Only you guys know that. Randir and Mithrandir are on their way here now. And a council we shall have, and we shall weigh up what allies we have and what our next move shall be. And he turns back to Arwen. And he says to her, I have felt upon my heart your approach, and a worry weighs heavy on me. I know that you bear news from the Lady of the Wood. And he kind of bows his head and holds his arms out. Please, Arwen, would you share it with us? And Arwen bows her head and looks up and begins to speak. But as she speaks, although such activities are not abnormal, or at least, what appears like magic to the rest of the world is normal to you guys. But this takes you a bit. But her voice changes. And so does her image. And you see Galadriel sitting there before you. And she looks at you each in turn, very calmly and serenely. And looks at Aragorn. Aragorn? God damn it. Elrond. Starts with an eh. She looks at him, and you could tell there is some sort of communication going on between them mentally. She says, "We vanquish the darkness that dwelt within Dol Guldur. But I fear a darkness grows anew, and it looks not to the east, but ever westward. Its hand outstretched in a choking grasp of Eriador. You feel its presence. It haunts your dreams and cannot be ignored. The woodland realm cannot resist its advance for long. And where will the eye turn its gaze then?" She grows silent, bows her head. When she looks back up, it is Arwen. But in your mind, it's like, was Galadriel really here? Was it in your mind? Did you imagine it? And a tear runs down Arwen's out of her left eye. And that's where we'll stop for today. Because it's time.
Almost, yeah.
That
Almost.
session went by way too fast.
I,
Play another 4 hours.
Yeah, I probably could
Yeah.
too. Yeah, and I'm surprised actually because it's a lot of narration, but I'm glad you weren't bored. I hope
Nope.
I hope no one was. I was worried about it because you're all separated in different things and observing and not participating, but
well, we're all,
No, it's
getting
fun.
different, getting different people together and all that. So, makes sense to be a little split up at first, gather those forces.
Yeah, it's not like the 8th season of Game of Thrones or whatever, where people just zip all over the world.
yeah. Well, I
Breaks
knew,
immersion.
yeah. That's I mean, I knew this book would be that way, but early start of it anyway.
No, it's fun.
But yeah, Wanderer and Gandalf they're only a couple of days away. And although for Bane and Herobrand, actually the last scene we had with them was a couple of weeks ago. But when we come back, I'm going to start with those two.
Well, we still need to hit Bjorn's house potentially, and
Yeah.
who knows?
Who knows what
Spiders
else?
land.
Who knows what else? Yes, and you haven't even crossed Mirkwood yet, but but I do feel like next session you guys will all be together at least by the middle of it, maybe something like that. Hopefully, depends how it goes. But all right, let me dish out some experience.
Plus, we
Just gonna save up like 60.
You're gonna save up 6. You guys have all. This is the thing with this game, Callum. You haven't experienced this yet, but it's you get the same amount of you get 3 skill points and 3 adventure points every session. No more, no less. That's the way it is, and so it kind of makes you rise fairly quickly up to about mid-level where you guys seem to be, like valor and wisdom of like 3, and skill points, I don't know if any of you have a skill over 3, or at least not many of them, but
Yeah, then it gets expensive.
and so it's a slow rise from here onwards. But it's cool. I like it. I didn't know if I would like it at first, but I like it in the fact that here we go. I'll find the thing I was looking for. The coding doesn't work right. It hasn't got Callum in here. I can do his.
I think the only exception is like at the end of like the major quests. Sometimes you get more XP.
Yeah, that's based upon your wits, I think, or no, your heart. Your heart.
Well, and how successful we were, I believe, against the Shadow, and how much.
Oh yeah, you get bonuses there. But I like.
And thankfully.
Oh, go ahead.
Shadow. I said, and thankfully lowering your shadow points.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
But it's sort of realistic too, in that, like let's say you want to learn how to fence, to get the basics of it. Okay, it takes a little bit, to get good at it. The difference between like an Olympic level and a really good like college person, it's not that much. It's that last little bit is hard to get.
Yeah.
When you're training or something, it's like, hey, to get halfway decent at golf, okay, you can go out and play with your friends. But to become a pro,
Oh yeah.
That's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's not really that much different. It's a few strokes, but those few strokes make all the difference.
Yeah.
10 flat sessions to go from 5 to 6 in anything. 10 full sessions.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. But
so
that's sort of the way it is in life, I think. To get become a master at it. It's like, yeah, you can become okay.
It's what I like about it is that, well, I'd say rapidly, but it did take you 18 sessions, but but still you got to.
We're halfway decent, but like you said, none of us have like 5s and stuff, and
no. But that's where it gets fun to me in any role playing game. When you get to like mid max of skill levels and stuff, then you can do quite a lot of things, but you're not perfect, so there's still a challenge.
Yeah.
So I like how the game gets you there rapidly, or fairly rapidly, but then it's, you can stay there and enjoy it for a while.
You need adventure points to do so much is the only downside.
Yeah.
Well, all your special bonuses, which is either your fighting or your magic stuff. Well, not magic, but resistances and some of it's magic items.
So, Callum, the coding didn't allow me to add it in with the thing you see in the chat there. It's I can't figure it out, but I've done it manually on your sheets. You got 3 adventure points and then 3 skill points.
Okay.
But
All right, cool.
Does he show up in our status report?
let's see. Let's see. Let's do a moral health report because you guys have spent hope. Yes, he does. Good.
At least in that.
And then the health report, because you're all max. There's your endurances. Darren and Wanderer died. You guys are almost the same endurance, all of you. Very close. Bunch of tanks.
I guess we can
I
spend
take
our...
one to the face.
I guess we
Yeah.
could...
Don't lead with your face.
Sorry, Bane, what you say?
I guess we could... I was just going to say, I guess we could lend our hope points since this is officially a session that we're...
Yeah, why does it say that? Agamando should not be weary. I got it 4 times.
Oh no, Agamemnon. Why are you weary?
Oh, I'm messing around and I equipped my shield. I wonder if that.
That's probably it. But I didn't
Like,
think... Yeah.
So heavy that...
Oh.
Yeah. That's like Herobrand never really carries a shield.
And it,
I will
put him over.
say Bane has lowered to before, like, he was already pretty good with his carry weight, and now he's light as a feather. He's gotten lighter.
oh yeah, of course, with your mithril mail. But Don, with your
fatigue.
With the sword, it doesn't really matter.
you could carry your shield.
Yeah, yeah.
Although
I tend to go two-handed with the thing. And,
yeah, it gives you more damage on that, but yeah.
I tend not to fight defensively, but
yes. Cool.
Is there a way to change your load to make it to be able to carry heavier stuff? I can't remember if that's one of the virtues.
Yes.
There
It's
is
a reward you can get.
Right, but then I have to give up my parry rating.
Is it
is
cunning?
hardy or something like that?
No.
maybe?
You can get your armor modified.
Yeah,
you
it's
do that
cunning
too,
mate,
yeah.
I think. It
There's
less.
a thing like dour handed. There's the other one is like
Oh, yeah.
hardy, which makes you hold more.
What is it? Is it
Yeah.
so what's the reward here? It's
think it's the regular
cunning make.
virtue.
If you got a cunning make of your armor, it would knock off it'd reduce the load of it by 2.
And hardiness increases your endurance by 2.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I need.
The virtue,
Yeah, that's the one I need.
hardiness.
Ugh. I think we should switch to the rule of 1 XP per hour of gameplay.
There's so many good things to add.
It would only get you one more. But yeah.